Hello there, you guys. So this morning, I am going to be interviewing Nova Page. She is a remarkable young woman who is a singer, songwriter, mother, worship leader, designer, kind of like the MacGyver of life. Hey, Mary Barris. So when she gets here, I will invite her over. And hey, oh, there is Miss Nova. I'm going to go over and get her right now. Hey, let's see. Just accept, Nova. Hey.
Hi, Jenny. Morning,
How you
sunshine.
doing, beautiful woman?
Hi, love. How are you?
I'm doing well. So I love your hair.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, I do.
Thank you for just having your voice out in the world. And really, I'm kind of honored because I've been seeing and listening and hearing all of your incredible guests. And I'm like super honored to chat. I mean, I know we're friends, but to be on this platform is, just an honor. So thank you for that.
Oh, wow. Nova, you're going to make me all blush while I'm out here. Where are you, Nova? Tell everybody where you are, because there are people who don't know who you are, and hopefully they'll be tuning in.
Oh, yes. Where I live in San Diego, California.
Go San Diego.
Go San Diego. And I'm sorry, you know how you're on your phone, but there's just constant stuff happening?
Yes, me too. I have like texts that I keep moving away.
Yeah, me too. So anyway, I'm in San Diego, loving San Diego. This is a little challenging. We live closer to the beach, and I'm so grateful for that, but we're not allowed to be there, which can be hard, and not hard, just like, oh, bummer.
I know, you can see it so close yet so far.
So close. And that is like, nature is one of the ways that makes me just really, like, it really fills my cup, just going, and seeing the ocean, or just being in the mountains. I'm not much of a climber, but just being outside
in nature. So
it's
nature makes us feel connected to God and to each other. In my interview with Brother Richard, that's what because nature is an expression of God. God is in nature. God is in all of that. And so when we are in the middle of it, even if we don't believe in God, we feel that eternal energy. We feel that sacred space.
We do. My son is an Enneagram 7, and I don't know if you.
I don't know what that is, but I know I need to.
Yeah, I think you really need. I mean, I learned Enneagram for Dummies pretty much, and now I've been listening to some podcasts on it. But my son is a 7, so he's this adventurer, and this is hard for a person who's an adventurer too.
Yes.
I mean, I'm more of an artist, so I'm like, you know what? I can cuddle up with a blanket, play my guitar, hang out, not see anybody. I mean, I love people, but I feel filled up when I spend time alone. So being a new homeschool mom for like 2 weeks.
Yes. And that's one of the things you put on your bio, which I love. I want you to break down that professional expertise.
I had to be kind to myself because I straight up, the true confessions of a homeschool.
True confession.
So I definitely have made my daughter cry like twice. But
okay, so have I.
But I've also cried, and I felt, my husband wasn't around, and my 19-year-old, I was like, I'm not good at this, and he's like, Mama, he's like now the adult, he's like, Mama, you're doing great, and I was like, thank you. So anyway, it's been a bit of a challenge, but in the same way, so fun, and we have great teachers that have taught us what we need to do too. So, yeah.
And you know what? I think to myself, what grade is your daughter in? What grade is she?
First grade. She's
right.
Basically, girl, she needs to read.
Right. And so here's my thing, what I like to throw out. Do you remember when you were in first grade?
Barely.
Right. That's my point.
I sat behind a boy named Ross Oshaway.
Was he super cute?
He was a cutie, and
that's important.
Feather. He had like the feather. In the back.
Out.
You know how you like did this, and then
the
little
down the middle, down the back, like a duck.
It was cute. So I can't believe I remembered his name. It just kind of came. Yeah.
Yeah. That my point is,
that was first grade.
You don't remember this. You don't remember the classwork, and guess what? I think you turned out all right. You don't remember first grade, yet somehow You are all right. And
Somehow
you know what? I would say that to every parent of every age,
Yeah.
you know, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Not, you may not remember even all of the content of what you went over, but you are all right. You are
Yeah.
someone who knows how to learn. You are a curious soul, and you will continue to learn all the days of your life, as our children will.
I feel like I explain our household like this. We're more of a performing arts household. So I'm like, you know what? Math, bye-bye. Let's learn the ukulele.
Yes.
Shiloh and I have learned the ukulele. We've been learning it together. So that's kind of fun.
That's hugely fun. I have these guitars behind me that I've been planning on learning them for a very long time, and I still don't know how. I know the chord of A, D, and F, which is a hard one. But anyway, praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Girl, sorry I don't have a cuter background, but all my cute spots. My son, who's 19, he sleeps in the middle of our living room. So
love it.
There's that. So I'm in my bedroom right now, but I want to be by some light and be able to see outside. But yeah. So
Nova, I really appreciate this. I would love to know, and I would love people who don't know you to know a little bit about you. Like you, I know you played on the DL and you're wildly humble, and I don't want you to act like you're not. You are, but you're amazingly talented in music. You write songs. Can you kind of dive in and tell us a little bit about how that got started? I know that you are a creative person. You're an artist. It really did start when I was itty bitty, all of it. Like I had my first public performance in front of 500 people at 2.5, and I sang "I Am a Promise." I am a possibility with capital P. Go ahead.
Hey. And my mom would put me in all these singing competitions. And at 12, I started doing jingles and had won some, I had, won some awards, I guess, when I was a kid, and started jingles when I was really young. And then I started writing songs when I was little. I started decorating when I was little. I would follow my dad around and beg him to like help me build shelves. And I was wallpapering dressers when I was 9 years old, because I was like, you know what this dresser needs? It needs a new look, and I don't have paint. So I straight up would go in my mom's craft and be like, here's wallpaper. So I would like re-wallpaper things at 9 just for kicks and giggles. And I loved change, and I still actually really enjoy change.
I hate that my reception of you is a little blurry right now.
Sorry. Is that me?
No.
I
don't know.
Full bars. I have pretty full bars.
Oh, you have full bars? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Then maybe it's me.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that people don't see what I'm seeing. I hope they see you not pixelated.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't know what to do with that.
No, that's all right.
Yeah. So, I ended up being in LA and working with different like rappers and different things. And I ended up meeting some really talented musicians. This guy named Dapo Toramiro, and he and I wrote some stuff for like this Christmas movie on CBS. And then I've worked with this guy named Josquin Dupre, and we've written for things all over the world together. And then I did a project here in San Diego with my friend Brandon Stepp, who is beyond gifted producer, and I did a record with him and toured and traveled around, and I traveled with the Katinas and done all these fun things, and
how'd you get into that world? Like, I want to know, how'd you get from being someone who wallpapered dressers because you're a creative soul, and to having your first performance when you're like 4 years old in front of hundreds of people, to being someone who found their way into a successful music world? How'd you do that?
I took a chance. So when I moved to, when I first got married to Ricky, music always found me, like decor, all that stuff always, it seemed to just come, I just found it. And I wasn't like really necessarily going after, it just kind of happened. Like you move in, when you have a gift, I think it pulls you.
Yeah, it does.
So it pulls you. And so it was like people that I met, or I'd sing somewhere, and people that, girl, I was also a wedding singer. I've kind of done it all. And listen, I performed in front of like 3 people.
Yes.
And, I don't know, thousands, whatever. And the but when I moved back, so years into our marriage, it was even 5 years in, I moved to San Diego, and I kind of took a chance. I was like, you know, I wrote this song, I'm going to find a studio. And I ended up finding this studio, and I just ended up being a great collaboration, a great place to do music. And they ended up hiring me for umpteen projects, other people's projects, jingles, television, little snippet thing. Like, so it just kind of happened. You end up being in this group of people that are like, oh, you can be a part of this. And I'm, you know, so I don't know if that's very definitive or clear.
No, what you're saying is,
but I did invest in so I went to the studio and said, I have money, let's record this song. So I also invested in my own dream. And I think that's really important as artists, because, you know, we end up, if we're so fearful and we don't invest in ourselves, then who is going to invest in us? If we don't believe that we have something to offer. And, you know, I think that this world is so amazing because there's so many gifted people.
So many.
There's so much to celebrate. And artisans and artists, they bring this color and beauty into the world. And there might be songs that touch me that, you know, might not touch anybody else, but like, you know, that there's fingerprints and color for everyone out there. And if artists it's very vulnerable to be an artist, to throw your heart out there. You know that, Jay, you're a painter. You know,
I'm an artist.
You're an artist, you're motivational. So there is some fear, but you have to break through that fear and just say, you know what? I don't care anymore. And for me personally, like, I just had to come to a point where, like, I'm not doing this to make money. I'm not doing this because I want to be famous. I love writing. I love the expression of putting something out there that might just resonate with somebody and help heal their heart.
Yeah.
And so that's the joy of being an artist. And even as I design things, I want people to feel comfort in their homes. And
you do design beautifully. I mean, you know, you and I were talking, maybe it was just last night, and we were recounting some of the earlier times when we first met, and something you said to me is that you remembered me saying to you, man, you live well. And you do. You create. I thought about that more. Not only was I saying that you live well, you occupy space and you bring such beauty to it. You allow others to do the same. So I've seen what you do. It's beyond just like decorating. Is you create space that allows people to feel really, really good and wonderful in their space. And I think now more than ever before, gosh, don't we realize the importance of that? Because we are all home. And if our home does not feel like a sanctity, you know, like a wonderful sacred spot that just is welcoming and enjoy, like, where are we? What are we doing?
No, seriously, because your environment really, it matters, you know. And I personally, I can't live in chaos. So
I can't either.
That's, you know, there's something like when my home feels like comfortable and cozy, and like everybody has a different style. So whatever yours is, but to really, I think environment is really, really important. It changes things.
It does. I had to make my bed.
You what?
I had to make my bed before I did this interview with you.
Girl, right here, right now. Boom.
Oh, hello.
But I can't, I literally cannot. I literally don't even pee before I make my bed in the morning. I'm like, get out of bed. I was like, make the bed. Because
make the bed.
If you don't make your bed, everything's a hot mess. And
it is.
It sounds like a little control.
No, it's because you carry that space with you. You carry that not pulled together, not organized energy with you. That's why it's important. It doesn't really, who cares about the bed necessarily in the abstract? It's in the specifics of what it makes you feel. You feel accomplished when you make that bed. And if everything else is falling apart, you know what? I made my bed.
I made my bed. It's funny. It's kind of weird, but I mean, it's kind of an important thing to me. And I always tell my kids, I'm like, you know what? Some of the most successful people in the world, they make their bed first thing in the morning. And they're like, who? I'm like, look it up on the World Wide Web.
It's on the interwebs.
On the interwebs.
There it is.
Yeah.
You know, Noah, while you were talking, I just thought to myself, what was one of the first things you remember being afraid of?
Singing.
Why?
Fear of judgment, that I wouldn't be perfect, that I wouldn't be good enough. And I remember I think I was around 5, and I sang, we went to this little tiny missionary church, my family and I remember feeling judgment. And I can't, honestly, Shay, I can't explain why, but there was definitely a perfectionism in me, even at that early age, but also a desiring, a need to feel seen without feeling judged, seen and accepted. And
I say seen and heard. That's my big thing. It's everybody wants that though. That's nothing unique to you. We all need to feel seen.
We all do. And there's really no shame in it either. And I think, I remember just standing up there and so fearful, and I cried, and my family's like, they were rolling their eyes at me like, girl, I remember things like, why are you so freaking out? And I honestly, Shay, I think I just was afraid that I wouldn't do it good enough. I wouldn't. And honestly, I've learned that the most beautiful things happen. Like, I'm going to cry. The most beautiful things come out of your soul that are just imperfect.
Yeah.
Like, you know, who wants to be around this like perfect, I always have everything together? That's just not reality. I think because we can empathize with each other when we see like there's so much of us that are the same, you know. Like, we all carry different pains, and there's this thread. There's the thread, and we can empathize and be compassionate towards one another. You know? So
we don't connect with each other on our high points. You don't connect with me because I won the lottery.
Right.
You don't connect with me.
You won the lottery? Oh my God. Yeah.
You're the first one. I'm telling. I have to play it first in order to win it.
Yeah.
Buy that ticket. But we don't connect because I stumbled upon some greatness. We don't connect in those points in our life. We connect on our broken spaces. We connect on our pain points. Yeah. And I'm just, this time is so, it makes this truth so evident. We're not connecting with each other because this person has a talk show, this person has a #1 album. We're connecting with each other on our lonely, broken place where we all have the same 24 hours. And we all are relegated to the same walls. And we all have a soul within this body that wants things, that craves things. And most fundamentally, we crave being seen. We crave connecting with each other. So we're not connecting on our high points. We're connecting because we are all on a global low point.
Yeah, low and broken. And it really, like you said, it levels the playing field, and you realize, you know what, this morning we're all putting our pants on one leg at a time.
Yeah, we are.
There's no, like, we all just wake up in the morning and have to get up and put our pants on, and no one's pants are that much more special than another's. Right?
You know, you said something on your answer to what was the first thing that you remember feeling afraid of, and it was singing. And I asked you why, and you said, you know, because I feared being judged and not being perfect. And I would like to ask this question. What is perfection? And if you had done it perfectly, if you are able to do it perfectly, take that story out. Okay, so you executed perfectly. What's the result?
Shay, you're digging deep, girl. I love this therapy session. Take out the, like, I did it perfectly. I think that I needed approval.
Yes. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get to, is that we, even like when you go to yourself, oh man, I'm afraid to do it because I'm afraid I'm going to be judged. I'm afraid I'm not going to be perfect. I always go, okay, let's speak that thing. Let's speak, what is it that I'm afraid of really? Okay, so say I'm able to execute this thing perfectly. What then? What changes? What happens?
Right.
When I take that situation, guess what? Nothing changed or happened in that story. There wasn't like,
Right.
I delivered it perfectly. There's nothing that changes really. So it's just like, so why do I want it to be perfect? Because I want to be accepted. Because
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
have some sort of validation that
Yeah.
what I do matters, that who I am matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. And honestly, there's a couple things. I remember one of the things that set me free, and it's been a journey, but one of the things that honestly, Shay, set me free in my 20s.
So, ooh.
I sang a song at this church, and I was so overcome by the lyrical content, I felt God. Girl, I couldn't sing the words. Like I didn't freeze. I just was like crying, and I'm supposed to be singing. And this old man came up to me afterwards, and he said, "That was probably the most beautiful song I ever heard you sing." And I thought, there it is. It's where the heart is, Shay. Because our egos are big. And I don't care who you are. We just have this ego that wants to, but there was such beauty in not being able to sing. And I realized I am already accepted. I'm already loved. And anything else that comes out is just the overflow of knowing who I am. And I belong to a God who made me, who loves me, who sees me, who planned me, and has a purpose in this world. And I was able to just let go. And you know what? I'm okay with a flat note. I'm okay with not remembering all the words sometimes. I'm okay because, listen, I believe in excellence. And as an artist, we believe in excellence.
Yeah, that's not what I'm hearing you talk about. I'm not hearing you dismantle excellence.
I practice, I do my part so that when I come into a moment where I'm to share as an artist or a worship leader, that I can set myself like aside and I know I've done all the work, so I can rest. I just rest. And I go, you know what, whatever happens here, I've partnered with Jesus. Yeah. And he, you know what? He's got me. And this, if everything gets jacked up, it's kind of on him.
Right.
Right. I'm like,
right. Doesn't that feel so good?
And
it's like, really, roll it off.
It's freeing.
Yeah.
It's really, really freeing. And I remember I just thought if I'm not perfect, people won't like me. But I really soon came to realize that's not true. No one wants to hear from somebody who's like, I have the perfect plan. Here's A, B, C, D. You do this, be like me. It's no one relates to that. And the truth is, like, I don't relate to that.
Even if the fictitious you.
Pardon?
Say it.
What?
No, finish.
No, I don't know what I was going to say now.
I was saying, even if the oh, please, girl. I was like, even if the fictitious you thinks that you will love this perfection, that's not what moves us. What moves, years ago, I was in some class, and I think it was some sort of marketing class, and they're like, so what makes, a jingle, or what makes the song, like, how do you know? And then they were just pressing the question of what makes it amazing. What, and at the base of it, what we're all trying to do is make people feel something.
It's true.
And the only way that we're able to make people feel something is that we have to move from truth. That's it. That's it. If you move from some false reality, it doesn't connect. Like, I think
a persona,
right?
Act, and that's why the internet is like so challenging, because everybody's filtering everything, and just like, this is not real. I know. For sure, you don't look like that in person. For sure.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't even know that existed. One of my clients, she was all like, this made me realize how much older I was getting. She's like, oh, yes. And then you could take your photo and you can auto-tune your face. And I was like, but why? But why do you want to do that? She's like, so your skin, you look so much better. And I was like, but why? Like, if I don't look like that, why do I want to? I love that she used auto-tune. She's like, so you can auto-tune your face.
That's wrong. I mean, I'm sorry. You know, it's interesting, Shay, because one of my passions, I think, is like being a 45-year-old woman and deciding that I'm not, and listen, this is a very challenging, this is controversial, I think, because, and I feel passionate about it, is I really believe in my storylines, and that's what I call them. And I haven't publicly shared that. I've kind of like had this like idea of doing something called storylines.us.
Ooh, I love it.
And I know there's lots of story stuff out there, but I really, when I hit my 40s, and I was like, I had a woman come up to me and go, so are you going to start the Botox? And I was like, what? Or somebody said, it's a couple things, but I've been asked, like, hey, do you inject your face? And I'm like, no. I mean, and then I was like, should I? I went for a facial, and this girl goes, girl, I don't even tell my husband. She was giving me a facial, which I get like every 5 years, like seriously. And because they're expensive. But she's like, you could use a little. And I said to her, I go, you know what? I like my lines. And she's like, oh. And I said, this is why. Because when I have this, it means I've been concerned for my son. When I have these, it means I've kissed a lot of owies.
Yes. When
I'm okay. In other words, this is part of my story. My lines tell my story. Why do I want to erase my story?
I know. Like, I have a C-section poof.
Thanks.
Like, my belly is not cute. But every time I look at it, I go, well, I did build a human being. And they did bring a human being out of my body through this exit. So so what my body shows is that I'm someone who carried a child, who was blessed with being able to carry a child, bring it to full term, have that child, and that child is now 13 years old and is a smart aleck. But nonetheless, that's what this body was able to do. So it's kind of like, in a perfect world, sometimes I think, man, I really wish I didn't have that belly shelf. That belly shelf is not cute, but there's this, it really is a shelf. It's like where you want your books. You want to put your books? But the other thing that it really shows is a part of my story. And that's really critical for you to say and for people to hear that. And what we're aiming for is, again, it's so crazy. We're aiming for perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
And honestly, like, I really mean this with all compassion and love. I saw a television show where there was this actress, and she's an older woman, and probably 10 years before she'd been in a film, and I just was like, oh, I just love her, how she's aging gracefully. And then I saw her in something very recent. I was like, oh, what happened?
We call it joining the family. In our family, we call it joining the family. Like, God makes us all look very different, but the moment people start doing stuff, they start all looking alike, don't they?
They do.
So we go, ooh, they've joined the family.
Yeah, and listen, Shay, I don't want to shame somebody for like doing this. I'm just saying for me, I'm going to enjoy growing into my giving years. I call that.
Yeah.
Gracefully. And I'm okay getting older, and I'm okay. I'm just okay. No, I take care of myself, and there's I'm going to take care of myself. I put mascara on today, and
me too.
I'm going to take care of an exercise. Part of it is like, we don't know what those things can do to our bodies, what we're putting in like 10, 15, 20 years. And I really, it makes me a little nervous.
It makes me nervous too, to be honest.
For others. But I also I want to celebrate the women that have just decided, you know what? Let's just do this. And I have a couple girlfriends that we just were like, let's just go out blazing with our wrinkles.
Yes.
Do it.
And thank you for bringing that point up. I don't want to shame anybody else too. Like, if someone is doing those things, that's totally fine. But there is an overwhelming pressure on women who are really, I've met women as young as in their late 20s, girl, who are getting stuff done. And I'm like, this pressure for perfection is rooted in lies.
It is rooted in lies. And it sets people up for false there's just a falseness in it. The truth isn't necessarily present. There's this false persona, and I think it all comes, women want to feel beautiful. I think that we were made to desire, we want to feel beautiful, and this injecting and doing all of this stuff has caused women to just, it becomes kind of it can become an addiction. And so,
and I think it's not touching the real issue. I think the issue starts on what we started this conversation out, being seen without judgment, being accepted, being validated in the value of who you are. I always tell people in my private world, if you are alive, two things are irrefutable. There's room for you to be who you are, and there's a need for you to be who you are. And if we really get that, it's not saying you don't want to treat yourself, and I don't want to adorn myself. I do. I want to look beautiful.
This isn't the law. It's the spirit of the law.
Right. But I'm not accepted. I'm not valuable because I'm beautiful. I'm not valuable because I have on earrings. I'm valuable because I am here. I'm here. Yeah. You know, like, into your question, when you were saying, you know, like, I know there are other people. Listen, I read something the other day. Like, we don't do what we do because there isn't anybody else doing it. We do what we do because we are compelled to follow our destiny.
That's right.
There are other people who are interviewing people, and there are probably people who do it way better than I. But this is what I know I'm on this planet to do, and I'm doing it. We were talking about it last night. Are we going to wait for permission? What happens when we wait for permission?
We don't do it, or someone will tell us, you can't do that.
That's exactly right. You give someone else power to tell you no.
That's right. You give away your power. And the truth is, you know what? No one can stop me. If I want to write a song and I want to do that and record it, and guess what? I can do that, and no one can stop me. No one. And
you actually have to write the song. You're compelled to, because that is what's in you. And I think there's two memes that there's one meme that I just saw that said something like, if you think that artists and writers and are just a bunch of vagabonds and of no value, what are you doing right now in your home? What would we be doing right now on lockdown if it wasn't for the movies, the musics, the stories, the everything, the books? We are being kept alive because of our stories. Seth Godin, okay, what does it say?
The Aquarius Deception, and he talks all about changing the framework of what success is and being artisans in the world. This is a really great book, and I found some amazing.
I'm going to write it down so I can put it in your write-up when I post this to IGTV Live, which it will be there in perpetuity for anybody to see. And tell me the name of it again.
The Aquarius Deception. I think I'm saying that right. Yeah, Icarus. Icarus. I'm saying it wrong. Boy, that's amazing.
Deception.
Icarus. Oh, what's wrong with me? The Icarus Deception.
The Icarus Deception. Okay, Seth Godin. Perfect.
Yeah, it's just really, really cool. My friend recommended it to me. So, yeah.
Another thing I wanted to ask you is, when you think of like 5 years from now, when you think of, I'm on, because you're my age too, so I'm now on the cusp of being 50. I'm a 50-year-old woman. What would you like that time to look like? What would you like that time to possess?
I really, I don't remember the author, so pardon me for that. But my husband and I, we've talked about, what the decades in people's lives mean. Like when you're 20, you're like in this wow, we're imagining what can happen. 30, you're kind of figuring out. 40, you're like, I got some stuff happening here. When you're 50, you are in the season of giving. It is all giving. It is sowing into other people, lifting people up, being a force, helping them grow into their greatness. So you're still learning. I feel like we're lifelong learners. I want to always be a student of my husband, of other people. That is something that will never die in me. But I think in my 50s, I want to just be, that needs to be my the giving years. You know what I'm saying? Like anything that I've gained in wisdom, any opportunity I can give to others, I mean, I want to be doing that now. I am doing that now. I love connecting people, but in your 50s, I kind of feel like you have some things of wisdom that can be shared, and, you know, just praying that the generations under us will receive it, you know, have teachable hearts as we have teachable hearts. You know, because I think we throw people away at a certain age.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It is so true.
Or, you know, you're just not 30 anymore, so you're not cool enough. And I really
Would you ever go back to being 20 something? I wouldn't. You couldn't pay me. You couldn't pay me enough money. I'd be like, nope. Because that girl wanted to know her value. She desperately wanted to believe it, but did not know it. Did not know it.
Yeah.
And therefore moved through the space of this life, not occupying her fullness because I didn't know my value. No, I wouldn't want to go back to those days at all.
I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't choose to go back, you know. So I really want to give. My 50s is forgiving. I think my husband and I've shared with you, Joy, Shay. Can we just also mention Joy, your beautiful friend who introduced us, and then my business partner who is like,
and your beautiful friend too. Yes,
she is the bomb.
I love her.
So, you know, her and I do Nova Joy Designs together, and we literally, going back to like, you know, just giving away your power. Like, you can't do that. You know, we decided one day, someone had asked me to help with a project, and I was like, people keep asking me to help them with design. And then Joy was sitting there, and I was like, hey, Joy, could you look something up? And we had just this moment, and we're like, you know what? We should do this. And you know what we did? We just did it. We started our design company. And you know what? We bring value because she brings so much organization. Yes. I have these wild and crazy ideas. We come together, and she's so valuable to me.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful for her. I don't want to do this without her. I can't do it without her. I don't want to. But there's like, it's also, so I guess what I'm getting at too in the 50s is we're giving, but also teaching others what collaboration looks like. Collaboration. We need to collaborate with one another. So
it's really, because I think we start understanding the building blocks of humanity, that we need those we need that connection. And that connection creates beautiful things. And I think although we're not in our 50s yet, we will be there in 5 years.
Yeah.
And it would be, I think we will sit at this vantage point of understanding like, oh, what beauty comes out when people come together, when lessons learned, when experiences inform, when I pour, what kind of beautifulness is created there?
Oh, it's so.
Yeah. I'm already feeling that.
Yeah, no, yeah, it is. I'm, you know, when my husband and we also, you know, we started this, it's just like this personal.
That was one of my next questions.
Well, ask me what you need to ask me, girl.
Well, what I wanted to segue into is, what's something that you know now is a lie that you didn't know was a lie when you were in your 20s and 30s? And the reason why that's a segue, that's going to segue into what you and Ricky are doing too. What's something that you know now, like, man, that was a lie that I was believing, but you didn't know it was a lie in your 20s and 30s?
I really didn't think it was possible to have a great marriage. Like, I got married very young, and I think that we were always friends, but I didn't think it could last. Not that I wouldn't stay married, but the joy of it, I thought, I mean, I don't know, I guess just after a while, because I saw a lot of people and they just looked really miserable. So I just thought, hopefully this goes okay. And, you know, I'm committed.
And that's amazing. And now you know that that's not true. That leads into something that you and Ricky have started that's really powerful. Can you tell us about what you and Ricky have recently done? And also, I want to know the lessons that made you know it was a lie. Like, you have to step us through that, because I'm someone who didn't have a good marriage, you know, shown to me, and I'm not a good wife. I'm not a good person, and I really am not good at it. I'm horrible at marriage. But I would like to know.
I don't think that you are.
I am.
You just walk through and be an incredible wife alongside a husband who's had so many health challenges, and you've been stellar, Shay, and you've inspired me. So I rebuke that.
That's nice.
Yeah. No, you are such a joy and such an amazing woman, and you've all of us have sat back and seen your tenacity and your strength and your brokenness, because you're vulnerable and you've been transparent in your pain. And I've sat back and I've gone, that is a woman who chose to love and serve until death do we part. And that is Shay. It's rare and it's beautiful. I love you. And I love
wow, you. I'm glad that you're seeing me through those rose-colored glasses. I appreciate it.
Shay, you silly.
But what were some of the things that made you know it was possible, and what are you and Ricky doing right now?
So, well, I guess I'll start with, we started about a couple, let me preface this by saying this. When we were in our 20s and 30s, I think we had a great marriage, but we had kind of felt like it'd be cool if we shared stuff, but we don't actually feel like we've been married long enough to be, let me give you some advice. And even now we're like, I don't want to be advice givers. I want to inspire people. I want to give them some tools to live out their best marriage. So we decided to start something called marriaging, and it's the word marriage _ing.
It's a verb.
Yeah, it's
an action word.
Yes, it's an action. We are marriaging. We are doing this, and it takes two people, right?
And it's a podcast, right?
It's a VCast. So typically we do have a YouTube channel. People don't love to leave their platform, so we put it on Facebook, we put it on Instagram, and it is on YouTube. And so we do some live shows, but mostly we produce our little shows, and we have our friends Marie and Diego who stepped in, are like, you guys need some help, so they're helping us with some stuff, you know. But
well, good. I just want to make sure people know where to find it.
Yes, collaboration. And yes, that's where you can find us. So so we decided we want to help people activate what we call their oneness superpower. When you have gifts and talents, and this one does, you don't have to do this. You can go, man, your strength and my strength coming together. It is powerful. And, you know, like you and I talked about, I believe in changing an atmosphere in a home. Listen, not just aesthetically, but the spirit of how it feels. You know, you can tell when there's tension in the air, or you walk into a home where, man, this feels peaceful. And it doesn't mean that you don't have conflict. It's a way of moving through those things where you really honor the other person in it. Yeah. And you decide that this is going to be a safe place where we can be honest with one another. We can fight well. And then we can move from whatever corner that we end up finding ourselves in a fight. We move to this place of resolve after we've, you know, come to, and some of the shows that we've done, we've talked about conflict resolution and whatnot. Yeah. But we really felt we're doing this because, you know what, Shay, we love marriage. That's why we're doing it. We're not doing it so that, hey, everybody be like us. And I do say that often, like, I don't want you to be like us. You're not us. Be you and be the best version in your self, so that what you bring and how you come together is a beautiful image of God, you know. Tell me,
what were some hard lessons you've learned in being married, and how did you, you know, because I hear you, you know, wanting to pour into others, but how'd you create a good marriage? How did you create a good marriage, and what are some things that you learned that have been very helpful for you? Well, give me like one or two.
I learned how to say I'm sorry. And that sounds so simple, Shay, but saying sorry and meaning it is different from going sorry. I did not know the power of saying sorry. I didn't know the power of when my husband is vulnerable and transparent with me, that I accept him and I'm not afraid of him not being strong. And I had to learn that. I was like, because I came into this marriage pretty weak. I didn't have a lot of tools of communication. All I had seen, and with no disrespect, because, you know, like we always say, Shay, like our parents did, you know what? They did
the best they knew how.
And I love them. I love them for so many things that they taught me, but communication was not one of them.
No,
So, at all.
that was not a good lesson in my family either.
And because there was fights, and then, you know what? That carpet is phenomenal for hiding things under. So
Right.
And then next day it's like, hey, we're cool. Everything's great, right? And in my little heart, I'm like, no, but I guess
no, we haven't talked through anything.
And, you know, that caused me to be a stuffer. And so I walked into marriage wanting to be a peacemaker. And what I was a peace lover. So there's a difference. So, right. And listen, that is not my wisdom. That is wisdom that came from a woman named Karen who shared that one time. And I've held on to it because she said, you know, some people love the feeling of peace, but when you're a peacemaker, there might be a disruption, but the ultimate goal is for there to be peace. But peace lovers just want everybody to feel really good, right? We're feeling really good. A peacemaker will take the risk of there being an interruption. And
I'm a peace lover.
Yeah. But a peace, it's risky, but I believe in the risk in marriage of being vulnerable, transparent, fighting, and being able to fight well. And really, so I used to be a stuffer, and my husband drew out of me, he's like, be honest with me, even if it hurts me. And I was like, really? Oh, okay. That was news to me. I didn't know that, and you'll still love me? You're not going to reject me and call me stupid and tell me shut up?
Right.
Oh,
right.
Okay. And I had to learn that, and it took time. And all healthy relationships, it's time built. There's equity. There's equity that's happening. It's over time we build trust, and there's equity that we build in the relationship. And so, Shay, at this point, after 24 years, I know without a shadow of a doubt that I can come to my husband and tell him the truth, even if it hurts him. But we've built the equity of trust that it's not because I hate you, it's because I love you and I want to tell you the truth. And sometimes the most painful things are telling the truth, but there's healing in that.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm writing down so many things, what you're saying, the equity of trust. That is a big one to me.
Yeah.
Like this built up value of the underpinnings of trust. So you don't just throw it away or, yeah, I get it. That is,
and it takes
was that hard to get? Was that hard to establish in your relationship?
Yes, for me, because honestly, Shay, I would stuff things because it was my natural inclination to stuff, because I was afraid that something might go wrong. And so it took time. And honestly, that stuffing, I carried a lot in my life with that stuffing up until he met me. And my life looked like control and eating disorders and whatnot. I praise the Lord, I'm through that. But
yeah, because when we feel out of control in an area of our lives, we enact control wherever we feel like we can. Yeah.
And so
do those dishes, damn it. You know, like I can control those dishes.
Yeah. Right. And listen, there is, we make our bed. There is that sense of like, now I look at it now as like, I love the beauty and maybe I still don't like to be out of control. But that is part of being human and being honest about it and working through all those issues, because we all have them.
Right. 100%.
So it took years, Shay. It took years, if I'm going to be honest. It took years of building that trust and being able to be open and honest. And for a while, my husband was just the hero, and I felt like this weakling. But you know what? He saw me, and he goes, you know what? You're stronger than you think you are.
You are. It's interesting to me that you would ever see yourself as weak, because you have always exuded such strength and tenacity and elegance to me. That's how
you met me in my late 30s, Shay. Before that, I was a hot mess. Listen, I probably jacked a lot of people up. I'm sorry, everyone.
Look at Shiloh joined. Shiloh Page. Hey, Shiloh.
Hey, Shy. look at me, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, I think.
Yeah, I didn't ever think of you as weak. That was just a beautiful thing for you to share. Like, that's how you kind of saw yourself in the context of your relationship, and that your husband was the hero. Well, tell me this. What, if you don't mind, and this is a very vulnerable question, so if it's too much, you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
What is, like, you know, fighting, and I know in your marriaging, you guys talk about fighting well. I like the one where you guys totally dug it, where you were in the bed, in the bedroom, and hey, Ricky Page,
Hi, Ricky,
and showing how one fights. Because I don't fight well. I either shut down, and I shut down long enough, but then finally, when I can't take it any longer, I unleash every single thing that my heart has just been pushing down. So she is a fine looking woman. I see your husband.
He's flirting. This is how
he is flirting with you through our IGTV. I love Ricky. Oh, I love him. I love you guys together too. So
really
what is something you've said, or a fight that you have been, that you A, either regret, or B, didn't think you can come back from? Is there anything you have ever done or said, or a fight that's looked like that?
I mean, I've definitely hurt his feelings. Maybe not anything that I couldn't come back from that I said out loud. But I think I've probably in anger, you know, told him, like, you're a control freak, so you know what? You be right. You just always be right. How about you be right and I be wrong? How about I don't even talk? How about that? And
that's real.
That is real. And that's painful for him to hear. But you know what I really do love about him is that he might be ticked off, but he has enough EQ to reflect and come back, and we talk about it. And you know, I may be out of line, but also he's taught me how to own my junk, and he owns his. It's there are times when I'm just flat out, and people go, well, you know, it's not always one person right and one person wrong. That's semantics. It's the heart of it all. And there's underlying issues. And if we know each other's things that make us flare, you know, how he grew up and how I grew up, kind of similar in some ways, maybe a little bit different. We decided to be a student of that, not so that we could use it as ammunition, but education to move into a healthy, communicative marriage. And
what if you're married to someone who is not reflective? Like, you walk away from fights and it's not like the person ever goes and like reflects upon those things and comes back and it's like, hey, these are some things that I was thinking, or it just is, you come back, but you just never touch those things again. And then you're supposed to pretend like everything's cool again.
Well, that's going to implode. So you have to figure out, and it's small building blocks, Shay, because not everybody's there. And it's scary for people to open up their past and their wounds, because you might poke fire in that wound and cause me to bleed again. So honestly, it's small building blocks. And what I would say is we have decided to not use the words you always, you never.
Definitive language. Absolute language.
The absolute language is so, it's not kind. And
it isn't.
I mean, I ask God, give me your heart for my husband. Give me just so much love for who you made. I don't always feel that way, Shay. Like, there are days when I'm like, oh my goodness, what is happening? But I think the small building blocks of going, hey, Ricky, when you did that, when you spoke that way, this is how it made me feel. And then I think practicing that communication. So let's wait, did I hear you right? So you're telling me, Nova, so that and it's just teaching. Sometimes we have to just teach each other how to do it. And you know, sometimes when he's really strong, I'm weak. when I'm, you know, really strong, he's weak. And we
Yeah.
learn to, and not everybody's going to get it right away. Just take the small little things. And you know what? If your husband isn't this great communicator, start doing things like thanking him for the things that he is. Give him confidence. If you're always telling your husband, you know what, you're just not this, you're not that, well, guess what? Why does he ever want to bring anything to the table? Because you're just going to tear him down anyway. So you have to build that trust and confidence. Like, hey, you know what? I just really appreciate you in this. I really appreciate you. To be honest with you, I appreciate that you don't leave the toilet seat up. Thank you. And write a sticky note and put it on his bed. Like, do little fun things. You don't have to be boring after 20-something years of marriage.
And how long have you been married?
24.
Woo!
This year will be 25.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
You know, yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does answer my question. It does. And I asked the question because I know that there are people who will see this who will have that question.
Yeah.
Because what we'll feel like is, well, I can tell you what I feel like. When I hear people start talking about good marriages, I think, well, if I was married to that person, I would have a good marriage, you know, or if I was that. So I know that other people think that. So I'm going, okay, so what you have, where you are, this is what your spouse does, man or woman. What do you do when they're maybe not the most reflective person? They don't come back and circle back to conversations. And what do you do? Well, what I'm hearing, here's the main takeaway is, okay, so it's not, one, I love that you acknowledge that's not the most fun. It's not fun because it will implode. Yeah. But what is good is, okay, so where you are, start where you are, and at least start encouraging that person in the things, because everything they do is not wrong.
No.
Start encouraging them in the things that they do that are right. And from there, the building blocks maybe of reflection will come into play, or maybe too, you will get connected with another Ricky and Nova that can assist you in kind of navigating that terrain. But you got to start somewhere, and you start with lifting them up in the areas where they do well and where they try.
And that's, and you know what, Joy or Shay?
That's right.
You guys are the same person to me. Joy, Shay,
yes.
Joy. Now, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
A good marriage, one moment at a time, and you're gonna get jacked up, and it's gonna be hard, and then there's gonna be beauty, and we have to learn to celebrate all of it and go, you know what, we have to take risks in our marriage.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't risk it, if you don't risk being vulnerable, if you don't risk it, then your life goes by and you just go, well, it's not really worth telling. But it is worth talking about.
Yes.
You know, I want to love my husband into eternity. I do. That is my desire. I want to love him beautifully into eternity. That's really, how do I do that? One moment at a time. And it, you know, our moments don't always look pretty, but I'm willing. I'm willing to throw my garbage out there. Yeah. And I had to apologize to him 2 days ago because I brought something up, like, girl, at like 10 o'clock at night regarding something, you know, financial. And I was like, if you could blah, blah. And he's like, I mean, it just didn't go well. But you know what? We talked about it. And it was the next day. And we went to bed going, we're friends. We got to sleep. And we'll talk about it tomorrow. But it's not always fun.
Yeah. God, I love you. Okay. So I just want to ask one last question. So the takeaway, and I know we mentioned this the other night, but what if there's one takeaway from today's conversation? What do you want people to take away? What do you want them to go home with? What do you want them to put in their pockets? What do you want them to think on?
Well, our conversation went so interestingly today.
Yeah, it did. I had no idea it was going to go here.
Yeah, I think no matter where you are at in your life, in your marriage, take a risk. Just take the risk of showing your innermost self. And then also, like, be grateful for the moment right now, because I tell my children, you know, let's live in this moment. Let's not always be looking for the next one. Live in this, because the moments make life. So the moments matter.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah. And see each other.
see
Like
each other.
see each other. Just and study each other.